Fab. So we're live. I've just saw the notification come through, so we're live. So thank you, everybody, for coming and joining us. I'll just just have a quick 5 minutes, just wait and see everyone's got in okay. Just bear with us. Right, we'll get kick-started and people can just kind of join in as they can. So thank you very much to everybody for joining us today. This is our first test virtual event and the first one I've ran, so be patient. We'll try not to go off topic too much. I'm a bit of a chatterbox and I know that Stephen's the same as me, so but yeah, so thanks for joining. We're super excited to be running our first virtual test event, and we've got a lovely first guest to join us. So thank you very much for joining us, Stephen.
No, thank you for having me.
So my CEO, Sandra, she's worked with Stephen for a number of years now, and we're really happy to be working really close with the business at the minute. And yeah, so for those of you that don't know Stephen, Stephen is the director and founder of ROQ. They're a UK-based...
IT, we talked about, not the IT.
Oh, sorry, ROQ, not ROQ. It just flows naturally, Stephen, sorry. They're a UK-based technology company, so they do strategic software testing solutions for large global programs across multiple industries. I've not given it enough of a sell there, Stephen, so I'll let you take over in a minute.
You got the name wrong, so that's a start.
Whoops. But yeah, I'll say this now just in case we get nattering and run out of time. We are going to be running another session as well with the guys at ROQ, which is going to be in 3 weeks' time. So the 26th of May, if I can remember what day it is. That'll be a panel discussion, which is going to be around testing and tech. So just stay tuned for details over the next week, and we'll mention it again in a little bit. But yeah, thanks for agreeing to take part in this, Stephen. I've been super excited all week. So yeah, can you tell us a little bit about you and what you do at ROQ?
So yeah, so we've it's definitely ROQ, and it used to be ROQ IT. I'll give you that. But we dropped the IT a few years ago because we were selling more into the business rather than just IT. And for anybody who's in IT, IT can sometimes get a bad reputation. So we felt like it was maybe harming us a little bit in terms of a name.
First mistake of the podcast, sorry there.
No, the IT, but so you were right and you were half right. So I guess within the business, obviously founded it back in 2009. I played two roles, I guess. So for anybody who's in an SME type business, you might have heard of a business methodology called Traction, and within that, it's structured slightly differently. So you've got like the role of you've got your departmental roles, and you've got your kind of MD type roles, and then you've got your what's called the visionary role. So someone who sits at the top of the tree looking out basically the cloud stuff, the fluffy cloud stuff, the 1,000 ideas that most of them are crap type role. So I play that role within the business, which basically means I'm a social butterfly. I'm allowed to get about and just create chaos basically. The other role, which is kind of the more day-to-day stuff, is the sort of I head the sort of sales and marketing function of the business. So I kind of really drive that forward. So very much hands-on in terms of the meeting clients, driving client opportunities, driving marketing, running the events, speaking, doing things like this. Loads of stuff on LinkedIn, as you probably see if you LinkedIn with me and stuff like that. So yeah, a bit of a social butterfly in that sense, I think.
Fabulous. Yeah, I think we've seen a lot of you on LinkedIn and hoping to see a lot more. So can you kind of tell me about your career journey as well? So what you've experienced to kind of get where you are today? From my research, I think it said that it was ROQ, not ROQ IT, ROQ's 11th birthday in June. So
yeah, we'll have 11 next month, literally. The 30th, it's the last day of the month is our 11th birthday, last day of June. So yeah, so it's a I'm actually a lot older than I look. So I had a really good milk round as a kid, and it was a really good milk. So my background's is marketing really. So my background was in marketing, and when I was at university, I did marketing and management. But I kind of recognised, I really wanted to get into IT, not because I was technical. I had a ZX Spectrum when we played Mad Martha and games like that. But it was really the fact that I thought that's where the money would be, if I'm being honest, even back then. So when I left university, marketing degree, did a bit of travelling around Aussie and stuff, and did sales jobs and all that kind of stuff. And then when I came back to the UK, I did a bit of temping, and I got a job for a marketing consultancy. And it just happened to be in the same business park as an IT company called inspirational. Didn't know anything about testing. The Millennium Bug, it was like 1998 this. So the Millennium Bug was just starting to get the press a little bit, wider press, rather than the IT press. And they were looking to recruit telemarketing. So I kind of took a role there. So I kind of landed on my feet in terms of testing and quality. But I think if anybody's seen the Simon Sinek book, the Why, it kind of fills me. I'm very much around quality. I like stuff to be done well, I like to be right and accurate. So I guess in that sense, it kind of fits me in the whole testing piece. So I didn't pick testing. It kind of picked me, I guess. In terms of where the location of the office was. So I was there for probably 11 years in total, and I first started selling a product called Test Runner. So it was a kind of a sister company to Mercury Interactive, which some of you older folks will remember, with the likes of Windrunner, Load Runner, and Test Director, and them kind of things. And it was aimed at the point of sale market. So my first customers were the likes of Asda, Summerfield, HMV, Carrefour in Belgium, and basically it was a shite product.
To put it bluntly.
In the sense that it was very good in its uniqueness. It was very good in its non-intrusive testing, which was very new at the time, but it was very, very flaky. So I picked a hell of a lot of skills up in client management then, just in terms of, because it was always bad news. So I learned a hell of a lot about how to deliver bad news and account managing, the importance of integrity, the importance of honesty. So I learned a lot from that, just delivering a crap product, basically. And anyway, so that we kind of folded that business. We did all right with it. We got some good customers, and it was not as bad as maybe I paid it out, but it wasn't great. And then I'm moving to selling Test Consultancy, really, with the same company. I guess I've been doing that job 20 years now almost. So I'd like to think I'm all right at it. But my day-to-day job is now what it was 20 years ago, effectively, picking up the phone to people, trying to introduce and convince them that we're the best company in the world. So I did that for a good while, saw some big deals, had a good successful career doing that, loved it. Again, just mingling with people, meeting people. That's a bit of a pioneer, I'd like to think. So I think, things like Facilita Forecast with them have been around a while. You might remember it's now part of Eggplant. I think I still hold the record deal for that. So that's a long time ago. Sold it to Unilever globally. It was massive at the time. And it was one of them things where they just went, oh, we've never done this big before, but we'll do it. So it was brilliant. So I've got some still fun relationships with them guys who were in that side of things. And then Ice Integration got bought out mid-2000s by an American company called App Labs. And I took the opportunity to do a global marketing role then, because I guess my passion was kind of marketing ultimately, and then the analyst relations role. So I basically lived out of Philadelphia. I had a team in India, UK, Philly.
Wow, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, it was really good. Beautiful place, Philadelphia. And really enjoyed that. So it was a big global rebrand. And we did a lot. And I was spending a lot of time with the analysts like Gartner, Forrester, IDC, Everest Group. And it was one of them great roles where you could sell the dream and didn't have to close it. It's brilliant. So, none of the pain, none of the chasing purchase orders, contracts, but it was really just about selling and pitching. And obviously at the time we were up against the likes of Cognizant and Wipro. And I've always loved taking on the big boys. Still, it's my passion is just to try and destroy the likes out of them companies in a nice, in a friendly way, not in an aggressive, calling them bad names way, but just letting them do what they're doing and the client figures that out.
Yeah.
And then as that we hit the financial crisis, sort of like 2007-8, and I was reporting to the chief exec at the time about Labs. So this is a 2,000-man person organisation globally, and he was a nice guy, but he was a bit clueless and sort of panicked. And again, it's kind of what probably a lot of companies will do in this situation. People panic.
Definitely.
When leaders panic, it causes chaos. It really, getting stuff wrong is fine. Panicking is unacceptable as a leader of a business. You really can't afford to panic. Even if on the side is like, the swan, it's kicking legs under the table, you really have to show that you're in control of something. And he didn't do that. And I got on really well with the chairman, who was effectively his boss and major shareholder. And he just kept undermining and going in my favour, which kind of makes your position untenable, I guess. So I sort of bailed out quite quickly on the back of that. But I've been there 11 and a bit years. Had good fun, met some great people, had a proper good laugh, learnt loads, moved out for some role based out of London. Wasn't for me culturally, I'd come from somewhere which was very people focused to somewhere that really wasn't.
Yeah.
I kind of thought, no, it's not for me. I just don't get it. I just don't like it. Sacking someone because they get pregnant is not a good place to be working.
Definitely not.
It wasn't me that was pregnant, by the way, but it was just, when you're working in that environment, it just doesn't feel good. So that gave us the blank sheet of paper opportunity, really, because, we're still in work, but wasn't enjoying it. Knew I had to get out. I'd already made one leap and kind of got it wrong. So I wanted to I guess, try it my own. I was 33. I'd learned a lot. I'd sold testing. But we looked at everything. We looked at selling bungalows. I still think it's a great idea. Aging population, cheap to build. It would have been great.
That's definitely on the back burner.
It's on the back burner. So anyway, we set up testing because we went into testing because we knew we could sell it. We had some great relationships, but obviously it was right in the bang in the middle of the financial crisis. So it kind of took it took a while to get going because we had people who wanted to spend money, others just didn't have the money. They were laying their own staff off and all this kind of good stuff. So it was tough. But I guess what we started then was the foundations of the company we wanted it to be. We'd taken all the good stuff that I'd learned, all the bad stuff that we didn't want to do again, and some of the ugly stuff we just refused to ever let happen. So it's like anybody's career. You just build up layers and layers of experience, and you still make mistakes, but it's generally new areas as opposed to stuff you've done before. So it kind of sets your culture, really. So if anybody's in a company with a bad culture, I'd really question whether you want to be there long term, because you might start instilling stuff that's not great longer term. So I think once you start working in a really people-focused business, it kind of opens your mind to how it could be. And if you do go on to run big teams or setting your own business up, then I think it's massively important for you going forward. So that's kind of in a nutshell, I think, or a very big nutshell.
I totally agree. I think being in a people-centric business is, we obviously as recruiters, we spend a lot of our time in in a people-centric role. We speak to people all day long and, very much focused on the candidate. But what I really loved about that is that you mentioned about, kind of starting afresh. So after, 11 and a half years with that company, made the decision to kind of, take the next step and set up. So I think that's really interesting. So one other thing, the values that you kind of live and breathe at ROQ. So that's kind of the first thing that kind of drew us to speaking to you, and kind of, open that relationship again. So that was, I guess, how are you kind of ensuring that you're delivering in kind of on those values, especially kind of given the current climate? Like, have you had to make any specific adjustments or anything like that?
I guess the values to us aren't just words. They've never have been. We set the values of the business. So when we set the business up in, again, the recession, there's a theme here, bad economic times, we got 10 days free consultancy effectively we didn't get any money, didn't get any grants, there was none of that about, so it was basically 10 days free consultancy. And we chose to use 2 days of it with a HR consultant. And we got her to run a session. There was only about 8 of us at the time in the business, and 3 of them were the founders. And we got her to run a session about the values, and we just asked the team, what is it the company we want to be? Because we're only 9-10 months old. It was our first summer event, and we still do the summer events every year. And we said, what is it we want to be? So we got the team at the time ground up with us all in the mix, run independently to decide what we want it to be. So it's really part of that heritage. I know it's hard to say you've got a heritage after 10, 11 years, but it absolutely is. And we've never changed a jot of them values since that time. And so I think when situations like this come around, I think if you if you instill them values, you recruit them values, you live and breathe them daily, then there should be values that kind of hold into good times and bad times.
Yeah.
And how you apply them then is the key and the skill, really. It's only when people panic and deviate from the values that you start undermining the values, and people go, actually, when the shit hits the fan, you weren't particularly honest, or you weren't particularly passionate, or you weren't really good. You kind of went back to the kind of stuff we all know, really, not what's on the wall in our PDPs. And so I think we absolutely don't do that. We sell the company on values. So when I go and speak to a prospective client, I talk about the values more than our testing. So I don't talk about how we write test cases, the best in our automation. I talk about the values of the business. So it's absolutely endemic in our approach to how we sell. And that comes across with all the people they meet and how we run the business. So when things like COVID happened and we'd had we'd kind of anticipated, we were prepared for working from home, from our test lab to mobilize everything away. We'd done all that a couple of weeks before. The team responded really well because we've always been transparent with them. I've got a phrase I always use: you can't be a bit pregnant. You either are or you aren't. So you can't be part transparent. You have to be transparent all the time.
Yeah.
Whether it's good news or bad news, we tell it how it is to the team. So when stuff bad happens, they believe what we tell them because we've always told them the truth. So if we're saying, listen, no need to panic. This is what we're doing. They don't think we're hiding anything from them. And I think that's really important. So I think my personal opinion of this, where a lot of companies will struggle now is some will be in really bad economic climate. So they'll be in industries, hospitality, where they're just going to struggle. No matter how good a business are, you're going to struggle. I get that. But there are a lot of businesses that will fall because people will see the behaviours of the leaders, the management teams in these situations. And I think there'll be a lot of good people end up in good companies going forward rather than now where they're probably in average companies with bad cultures, and now they'll be seeing that. So we're really passionate about maintaining them sort of cultural things. And I guess we measure that by, even I think I put a post last week on LinkedIn, we do independent surveys on our employee satisfaction and our client satisfaction. And it's absolutely through the roof in the last month, or last quarter for client satisfaction, but we ran it basically the middle of April. And so that tells you that our clients haven't suffered because of this, and our staff haven't suffered because, in fact, our scores are higher than they've ever been. So that's the measurement, really, of how we're living and breathing this stuff, rather than me on this call saying it's great. It's like, that's what our clients and our staff are telling us, and that's really important. I think of other things we've done really around the values. One is about, I said, that cadence of information, the things that have changed. Transparency, the honesty, the updates always happen anyway. I've just come off the back of a company update just before this. And we've broken that down into 3 chunks rather than trying to hammer people for an hour on a update call. And that's gone down really well. I do a weekly video on a Friday, kind of what's happening in the week, what's coming up the week after. We've done things like bi-weekly beer Fridays with a Zoom call, and you can just join in. There's loads of stuff on Teams, and so it's just the cadence of which the communication comes out. I guess we've mixed it up a little bit, and then there's a lot of one-on-one people who may be living on their home, more vulnerable than others. There's how do you get teams together, so it's horses for courses, I guess, and every individual. And then there's the things you can do from a company-wise. And I think that's probably no different from any company, I would have thought.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I think that we saw like the situation go from here to here within a matter of weeks. And I think, that the way in which the companies, the way in which the company, reacts, I guess, to that situation tells you a lot about, who you're working for. So I think the fact that you're doing those kind of things definitely will put, employee peace of mind, I guess. Things are all right, things will be okay, kind of thing. So you mentioned a couple of things about like keeping in touch with your team and making sure that you've got that kind of extra communication. So how are you kind of motivating your people and uniting the teams during the crisis?
I'm a big believer that motivation comes from within the individuals. I think it's a myth that you can motivate people. You can steer them, you can guide them, you can give them energy, but true motivation has got to come from within. And I think if you look at the client satisfaction stuff, the consultants are very much delivering. That's no different than normal. They've adapted really well. They've kind of coped with new challenges and will cope cover them in the webinar in a few weeks, and some of the specifics around the COVID situation that we've kind of had to handle and handle well. So I think that motivation comes from them. I guess from a sales and marketing point of view, because I mean, there might be people in here who do that kind of job, and I know you guys do as well. And so that's had to change quite drastically in a very short space of time. So you've gone from building your customer relationships, building your pipeline, building your conversation piece, and all of a sudden then people are now don't come near me. I'm in planning mode. I'm in deep planning mode. I'm on furlough. And that kind of change is interesting. So I guess rather than motivation, it's really about, I got re-energized by this because I thought, well, actually, there's a great reset button here, because actually things in the marketplace, I mean, if anybody's been in business, the last 12 months have been quite difficult with the Brexit situation and the election and all the political crap. So it's not been a great economic climate for 12 months, and maybe a little bit longer than that. So we just started to see that come out. So we built quite a bit of momentum up, and I was determined not to let that momentum drop. So I have a daily huddle now with the sales and marketing team, just at 9 o'clock, 15 minutes, what's everybody up to, what support do they need, that kind of stuff. And I guess the energy I bring to that meeting and the kind of drive to do new things and take advantage of the opportunities that are now, and there's loads of opportunities if you think about it now. I guess it's not motivating them, that's that taking that lead of actually the stuff we can do actually, and if we work hard, and I'm a big believer in front loading stuff. So if we've got 20 things to do in a quarter, I want 15 of them done by month one. So it's, which can give people, it's that drive. My drive, I guess, is either you respond to it, you don't respond to it, do you? But it's not the motivation of the individual I try and inspire. It's more the activity levels that I do, and my expectations are high, and let's go through this and help each other through that. So they kind of deliver a lot more, maybe what they think they can do by just responding to that energy that's coming from external, really. So
yeah, I totally agree with that. Our Zoom calls on the morning are pretty wild, trying to get everybody kind of up to date and in that right mindset for kind of working and doing well. It's very different, isn't it, in terms of culture? So I mean, like you mentioned, I mean, you said about like making changes at the right pace, not panicking, has obviously clearly helped like team motivation. So one thing that's like taken time to adapt to, which you can totally appreciate, is kind of the working from home aspect. So how have you kind of adapted to team working, to remote team working, and obviously what kind of pros and cons have you seen? I think that'll be something that's probably come up with a lot of the people on the webinar today.
Yeah, I guess every situation is different, isn't it? But I get up at 5 o'clock every morning to walk the dog, and now I get up between 6 and 6:45, depending on how noisy my missus is in the morning, because she's in. So I'm getting more sleep, so that's a good start.
Yeah.
Weather's been nice, so I found a little place I power hose I live on the back of a river, and I've got a garden wall that backs onto the river. So I power hosed it down, so I can now sit on that, have me breakfast, do my to-do list in the morning. So when the sun's been out, it's a great way to start a day, sat in the sun. Also, it's like being on holiday, but not. I'm doing my to-do list for the day or the week or whatever. So I'm back at my desk at a similar time. I'm at desk up by 7:30 in the morning. But I've had a really chilled start to the morning. I've had a sleep. I've had an extra hour in bed. I'm walking the dog at night, because obviously the one day I was like, my missus come back from work, and then we'll take the dog out for a walk at night. So I kind of structure my day differently than that. But I think it's just the productivity levels are through the roof. I mean, it's amazing how much you can get done if you're not disturbed, and the amount of white noise that you just get in a normal day-to-day. And I know some of it's good, and I love being around people. I love meeting people and doing the whole bit, and I've loved that. But actually, the amount of work I've got through has been intense, and it's been bloody productive. I've got so much done. And again, just with the weather's help, because I've kind of balanced it out. So I'll go and do my LinkedIn stuff in the garden, stuff that you don't need to be at a desktop for or on a call or whatever. Just try and mix it up, just to have the dog running around my feet or play the ball with him for 5 minutes. And I can't do that with a team. They don't pick up the ball the same as my dog. So it's I'll have to learn that. And again, one thing I'm really passionate about as a owner of a business is to take a day out a month to do stuff on the business, not in the business. And it's a cheesy phrase, but it's just taking that time out. And I'll just take a day, whereas normally I'd take a day out and it'd be in the diary. I might take that just more ad hoc, depends how I feel.
Yeah.
So I might go and lie in the garden, read a business book. I might just take my notepad and think about what we can do, what we can achieve, where we've been, just to really reflect on stuff and not have to get disturbed. And I'll just put do not disturb all day. So that's quite nice. And I can do that when I want, I guess. And I can do that in short pockets. If I want 2 hours to do something, I can just not, I don't wear a cap in the office to say don't disturb me, or we're an open plan office. I can do that very, very, very much easier now. And I've also squirrels and pheasants and shit running around my garden, so they're quite nice to watch rather than people whinging about, and scratching the bits in the middle of the office. I guess the downside is just eating too much bread.
Yes.
It's like the killer.
Preaching to the choir. Terrible.
There's a lot of this in the village, and I try and pick up the stuff there while I go to supermarkets, and they do the most amazing pan of chocolate, and it's a killer. And that and crumpets, that's the worst bit. I tell you, it's my the worst bit out of this. But no, on a serious note, though, I guess it is definitely a social butterfly. So it's definitely being out there meeting, but especially the customer interaction. I mean, if anybody's in a sales role or even a buying role, I guess, on this call, is that personality, that kind of relationship you can build. It's very different on a phone, very different on a Zoom call. It can be done, but it's very different. And I like the interactivity, looking someone in the whites of the eyes, and you know what I mean. It's how they adapt to it as well. Again, it's all about the buying cycle. It's never about the sales cycle. It's always about the buying cycle. And how that interrupts their buying cycle by not being able to meet people that you've got to sort of do. So that's definitely a big difference. And the amount of coffee I drink in 3 days in London, I have so much coffee just in between meetings. But I miss that. I love being out and about. I love that side of things. So that's the bits I kind of miss, rather than the getting stuff done's been not impacted. It's just the social element of it, I guess.
Yeah, of course. I can relate to so much of that. I mean, especially about the breaded goods. I think I speak for most people when I say that we're gonna look like a piece of bread when we come out of this lockdown. It's just not ideal, is it, the kitchen being so close to the office? But and like the social interaction side, I mean, obviously can totally relate, kind of going for coffees, what candidates and clients, it's exactly the same. It's not the same as, rubbish cup of Kenko, is it, in a Zoom chat, so we've got to keep excited for what's to come, I think. We've covered quite a lot already, but can you tell us a bit more about kind of your war stories and battle scars? What's given you grit?
Cracking. 20 years to cover some war stories. Point of view, the bit we've struggled with, we kind of had quite an accelerated growth after the initial bump of starting in the world's second world recession. I think this might be the big one. No, actually, got some good news on that one. I had a good economist chat today. So that was quite tough at the start, but I think the biggest issue is kind of scale the business for the management team. That's been quite hard. When you kind of an founder, owner, driver of a business, to then build that team, that layer underneath you and above where you can typically manage, there's been a real challenge for us. And I reflect on this quite a lot, and it's really easy to blame the people you bring in. It's dead easy to do that. They weren't crap, they weren't good enough, blah, blah. But I don't think you can. You there's only one place you look at is yourself and think, what did we do different? And we set the role out, we did the spec, we did the interview, we did the selection, we set the agenda, we set the terms of the thing, we set the reporting bit. We did all that, and we got it wrong. And I think that's a really big lesson but I hear that from so many businesses. It's not about, and it's easy to people to say, oh, that person, they were rubbish at this and they didn't do this. You hired them. You know what I mean? And I think that's been a really, really tough bit. It's all part of growing up, from a personal development point of view as well as a company development point of view. So we've learned a lot from that, lessons I hope we won't make again, or mistakes we won't make again, and lessons we definitely learned from that. So I think that's definitely a challenge and kind of one of the bigger ones, really, because you kind of, with business, again, not patronizing, but with business, you lose momentum quite quickly. And I guess you do in any job role, but in business, it's harder to turn around because it's a slightly bigger machine to refocus and turn around rather than as an individual when you have that bump in the road. So that's quite a challenge so you do lose a bit of time and a bit of momentum, and then it takes a bit of time to build the team confidence back up to get